Easy people, welcome back to the channel at Big Steve MCFC. Yeah, it's an emotional night last night at the Etihad Stadium. There was all sorts of things going on. It was a great night, especially after weekend. You know, everyone was disappointed at weekend losing the FA Cup final to Crystal Palace. You know, myself included. I had my rant on Monday, got it off my chest. A lot of people were saying, "Bloody hell, Steve, you was a bit annoyed on Monday." Well, you know, I'm I'm usually quite level-headed and I'm usually quite calm. But frustrations got the better of me on Monday, and that's how I felt. So, you know, I'm trying to be open and honest on this channel. I'm always going to come on and say how I feel. I'm not going to fluff around the subject. And I was disappointed and was frustrated. And the standard of football that we watched on Saturday, you know, was very, very dire, and you know, we never laid a glove on Palace, and that was the most frustrating thing for me. Anyway, we moved on. Bournemouth last night, Manchester City 3, Bournemouth 1. Please excuse the sun coming through the Velux windows, because no matter where I sit in this room, the sun's on my napper. So we're going to have to bear with it, people. At least the sound's okay and you can hear my voice. But yeah, the draw at Southampton a few weeks ago left the top four race wide open for me. You know, Chelsea and Villa were winning, and this made this Bournemouth game important. It was also Kevin De Bruyne's last game, so it was always going to be emotional. And to add to the emotions, we found out that Rodri was on the bench. So obviously Rodri's missed most of the season. So, you know, there was a chance to see him. The lineup came out last night. A lot of people were a little bit baffled with it. You know, Kovacic is back in the team, but he never made the squad at weekend. People saying he's injured, but some people saying, really, if he couldn't play Saturday, but he can play Tuesday. A little bit strange. Obviously, De Bruyne was going to start. Mamouche and Haaland started again together. Bernardo. He dropped the wingers in Doku and Savinho, so the width had gone. And it was a lot. For me, it looked a lot better team. You know what I mean? I was a little bit more calmer going into this game than I was before. I don't know what you guys thought about the side. You know, Akanji coming at centre half. Nunes came back in the side, and Josko Vardio came in on the left. Just touching on Nunes, he had another good game last night. I really think he's growing into the right-back role well, you know, and he does offer us something different. And, you know, a lot of people were saying he was just being pigeonholed into that position, but he's knuckled down and he's working hard, and it looks like he wants to make that right-back position his own. And to me, he's done quite well since he's gone in there. So I just want to give him his props. Anyway, the game started, and City were doing okay. We were creating chances, etc., etc. And then probably the goal of the season for me, that best goal Man City have scored this season, I think, by a mile. Omar Mamouche. Omar's came in. He's hit the ground running for me. You know what I mean? He's been played on the left. He's been played on the right. He's played as a striker. He's played just behind the striker. But he picked the ball up deep last night. 30, 40 yards from goal. And I'm right behind it in the south stand. And he lets one go. It was a proper thunder bastard. And it went right in the top corner, off the bar and in. Absolute great goal. Got the tempo of the crowd ramped up, you know what I mean? Fully deserved. So we're going there at 1-0. Bournemouth were huffing and puffing. They hit the post. Ivan Nielsen, who I don't think's a bad player there, number 9. He was in the middle free. This seems to be the goal that most teams scores. They break on us down the flanks. They cross it to the middle. There's a guy in the middle ready to tap it in. He's tapped it. It's hit the post. Then we went up the other end. Bernardo with a goal. Ilkay Gundogan with some great work. Clips the ball inside. Bernardo Silva with a finish. Takes it to the near post. Past Kepa. 2-0. Yeah, relief. Everyone's relaxed, chilled out, half time. People are thinking, you know, yeah, the smiles are back on people's faces again. The sun was shining. And you're going to take that at half time, 2-0. The second half, bit of a mismatch. Mateo Kovacic got sent off. I mean, rightly so. I know the player was far from goal. There's no need to grab him. I think even Nielsen played him a bit there. As soon as he felt the hands of Kovacic on him, he's dropped. and he's gone straight red. Before that, Kevin De Bruyne had missed an absolute sitter in the first half, right in front of us. Mamouche with a great work. He pulls the ball across. And if you watch it on the replay, he just sits up a little bit as it gets to his foot. So he sort of hits his shin, sort of boot, sort of shin high up, and he's smashed it off the bar. That could have been the perfect send-off for Kev, you know what I mean? A goal on his last home game. It wasn't to be. And yeah, the sending off of Kovacic was followed by the sending off of Cook. Reckless challenge. We brings on Nico Gonzalez for Kevin De Bruyne. He gets an absolute outstanding ovation. The fans were really emotional, but they didn't half give it Kev. You know what I mean? He's definitely one of the most loved players I've ever seen at Manchester City Football Club. Kevin goes off. Nico comes on. Within a few minutes, he's involved in an altercation. That Cook's gone over the top of the ball. And rightly so, it was a red card. So we were both 10 men apiece. The game looked like it was filtering out near the end. And then the surprise, I was watching Rodri warming up and I'm thinking, is he going to put him on? Because I'm scared. And then I seen his number come up and the whole crowd went mental. Like, what an ovation it was for Rodri to be back. You know what I mean? Another player that was robbed of a season with a bad injury. We've missed him so much, you know what I mean? And to see him come out on the pitch, that was another emotional moment. There were people getting a bit upset. And I spent probably the last 10 minutes of the game just watching Rodri, how he was running, how he was moving, and he was just back to his best. His head was on a swivel all the time, looking around him, who's where he is, knowing where he was, get the ball, simple touch, layoff, winning it back. There was a couple of challenges he got involved in where he didn't go full bang, but he was, floating around it. And I feel like Rodri will wake up this morning and feel like, he's got some minutes under his belt and he's happy. But I thought getting him back is a massive, massive bonus, you know what I mean, for the World Club Cup. And if we can get him up and into speed for the new season, it's like signing a fucking £150 million player, you know what I mean, and getting him back. But I do believe that Rodri takes this team to another level. And last night, even in the short cameo space of time, you could see we missed him, So the game looked like it was filtering out to a 2-0, and the Nico Gonzalez picks the ball up midway. He jinks it past the last defender and smashes it in the near post again. 3-0, and you're thinking, wow, what a goal. It was a great goal. 3-0 against Bournemouth, job done. Rodri's on the pitch. Kevin De Bruyne's about to say goodbye. You couldn't ask for a better night than that, Blues. You know what I mean? You couldn't ask for a better night than that. And then the same old City mentality kicked in near the end. We all switched off a little bit. The young lad went through, scored a goal. Bit of a calamity at the back, 3-1. But we're taking it. We needed the 3 points. We move on to Fulham now next week. We need a point to guarantee the Champions League football. We're in a great position. Fulham won't be easy. They came back from 2-0 down at Brentford the other day to win 3-2. So we've got to be switched on. But I feel like looking at the team, looking at the players we've got a good, healthy squad. There's some lads didn't make the bench again. But getting Rodri back, getting Akanji fit, Echeverri having game time, etc., etc. You look at the squad and it's quite big. I know Pep came out after the game and mentioned about his squad, saying that he would resign if we give him a 25, 26 man squad because he don't want to upset players. But that was a little bit baffling for me. We've seen this season, early on in the season, we need a big squad. If you get injuries, what do you do? So I don't know what he's going to do. Oscar Bob was on the bench, got some minutes. Doku got some minutes. Grealish got some minutes. I believe that probably that'll be Jack Grealish's last game at Manchester City. I don't think he's going to play much. So I feel like in the summer, his agent and Jack himself are going to probably look for some pastures new. That'd be a shame. You know what I mean? I feel like Man City fans have got a good relationship with Jack. We've always backed him. We've always wanted him to do well. After the treble season, which was his best season for me, he was fantastic. And I think the antics when he's on the piss and all that, I think it resonates with a lot of people. Like, he's just a young lad. He's enjoying life. So I think Jack Grealish will go down, as a little bit of a Man City icon. I think that he's, has he done everything in his power and potential at Manchester City? Probably not. Has he played in the right position? Probably not, Was he changed into a little bit of a robot to fit the system? Yeah. So I think overall his time, the price tag's always going to weigh down on his head. But for me, I thought Jack's done all right. And if Jack Grealish decides to leave in the summer, I feel like it's up to Jack. If Pep doesn't want to play him, then he's entitled to go and play where he wants. And I think the City fans would wish him all the best. Then it come to the end of the game. We had the Kevin De Bruyne send-off. It was very, very emotional. The club always do a fantastic job at sending the players away. We seen that the mosaic by Mark Kennedy, who is a great mosaic artist in Manchester, very famous. He actually is on Instagram. He's a good guy, City fan. He's made the mosaic, and we've got the Kevin De Bruyne crescent now over near the training ground, which is a nice little touch. He's been given a lifetime season ticket, but I don't want to know what happens if he doesn't attend 10 games. Does he get it took off him? You know what I mean? We need to check that. And it was good to see him and his family. They arrived in Manchester as a 2 and they left as 5. His kids are Mancunians. He's won 19 trophies, 19 major trophies in 10 years. He came to this country as the flop, the Chelsea reject. The pundits slaughtered him. Look at the money they're paying for this boy. It's ridiculous. Well, he rammed all them jibes right down their throat, stuffed it in their gobs, because he came and he conquered. And he grabbed this team by the scruff of the neck so many times and fucking won us the game or drove us over the line. Times when, we were down. Chelsea away. We need to win. He runs right through the team, smashes it past Courtois. We win 1-0. Real Madrid in the Bernabeu, we need a goal. Kevin pops up. Wolves away, I remember getting the 4 goals, what he scored from midfield, which is insane. Ilkay Gundogan tapping it in at the back post because of all the work from Kevin. Then the beautiful assists for Leroy Sané, where he's bending it round defenders and Sané's running onto it. Free kicks, so many goals. 108 goals I think he got from midfield. The assist record. He's a joint assist record in less games than Thierry Henry in one season. So he is a legend. And then they announced they were giving him a statue, which for me, brilliant. So if there's a Kevin De Bruyne statue around that new North Stand, he deserves it. And like you say, he probably was at a point in his career where he was thriving in Wolfsburg, but he probably wanted to prove people wrong. He came to Manchester City and he proved everyone wrong. He's now leaving us. He's in the conversation for the greatest Premier League midfielder of all time for me. You've heard Paul Scholes and them talk about him and say he's the greatest. So I don't think he'll be truly appreciated until he's probably been and gone and he's retired. And then the old archive footage starts to come out and people start thinking, wow, what a player Kevin was. You know what I mean? But it was good to see him. He had his moment, finally someone let him speak, like he said when he used to go, let me talk. But I'm so privileged to have seen him. You know what I mean? I've followed his career the last 10 years. We've watched his team home and away, and I've supported him ever since. And like you say, I just want to thank him for always being dedicated to Manchester City, for never causing the club an ounce of trouble, getting on with his work and being a professional. And if there's any young kids out there that want to be a professional footballer, go and look at Kevin De Bruyne. Go and look at his career. Go and look what he'd done. Go and look how he conducted himself on and off the pitch and how he behaved. That is a modern day footballer. That is an icon. That is someone you need to look up to. He's a family man, and he's a player that came after failing at Chelsea. He went to Germany. He destroyed that German league over there, and then he came back to England and said, right, I've got a point to prove. And he done it. And like you say, fantastic. So that was emotional. They wanted a dry eye in the house. People were, crying in the stands and stuff like that. We've got Fulham at weekend. I think we should do that as a Kevin De Bruyne day at Fulham. I want to get as many Belgian flags, as many. I know there's a guy got some red, black balloons for Belgium. But if you can wear your Kevin De Bruyne shirts, if you can get Belgian flags, I think you can get them off Amazon for about £2. Next day delivery on Prime. If you're going to Fulham, get a few Belgian flags, dish them out. You know what I mean? For what it is. Let's show everybody in Match of the Day in the world that, we love our Kevin and we're going to give him a send-off. You know what I mean? But other than that, people, the question of where does Kevin go next is one that we all want to know. There is talk of Kevin staying in the Premier League, which he's very much entitled to do what he wants. You know what I mean? I think he's earned that. It would hurt a little bit, but for me, if he goes to someone in the Premier League, fair play to him. Let him. I'm just not even annoyed. If he went to Man United, I'd be fuming. Liverpool, it'd hurt a little bit, but if it's his boyhood club and he had a dream of playing for Liverpool, then let him go and do that. But I've got a feeling he might go abroad. You know what I mean? I feel like he's played a lot of games. I feel like he might want to try something new. He's got nothing to prove in the Premier League. He's won the lot over here. Maybe he goes to America, head of a project. Maybe New York City. We can keep him in the football group, offer him a load of money, get him out to New York as an ambassador, make him captain, and let's get New York City pumping over there. You know what I mean? They've got a new stadium coming. But whatever he chooses to do, I'm sure the Manchester City fans would always back him. You know what I mean? They would always back him. But yeah, other than that, it was emotional. We've got to move on. I don't know what our plans are in the summer. The Florian Wirtz deal has now apparently been put on the back burner. It's too expensive. That doesn't ring right to me. Too expensive because he's an absolute quality player, and I'm sure if Manchester City wanted him, we'd find the money for him. Maybe Wirtz doesn't fancy it. He don't want the Premier League. Maybe he doesn't look at the Man City package as being too attractive anymore. I don't know. We've been linked with Reinders from AC Milan, who's a very, very good player. Do you know what I mean? He's got a lot of energy on the ball. I've been watching a few clips of him and having a look at him. He looks very tidy. Full-back position, left-back, we're now linked with Kirkes, who played last night for Bournemouth. Steady enough player, but we'll see. Pep's obviously got his own idea on full-backs, you know what I mean? He doesn't really like full-backs. That's why he plays centre-backs or midfielders there. So we'll see what he does with that. But I feel like the creativity is where we're lacking. Are the wingers good enough? Are the midfield players, the offensive players good enough? Big Earl cutting a lonely, frustrated figure again last night. I thought he had a better game. He was getting involved in the play, laying it off, etc. The ball just wasn't quite breaking for him. But he doesn't seem to be getting many chances, you know what I mean? And we need to find a way to get him involved in the game more. Do you know what I mean? We can't be just using him as a battering ram to smash into centre-backs. We need to make sure he's dangerous and then balls over the top and through balls. So I feel like we're missing a diamond in the middle. We're missing a playmaker, somebody that can pull the strings of the orchestra in the middle of the park, pump them balls left, right, over the top, spread it to the wing, find them little gaps through the lines. I feel like we're missing that player. Echeverri, is he going to be that player? We don't know. He's very young. Phil Foden, we all had high hopes for him. He's had a bad season. We know that. We don't know what's gone on with Phil. There's a lot of people speculating and stuff like that, but we just don't know. But what does the future lie for Foden? I said, let him have the summer off. Don't take him to the World Club Cup. Let him have a break with his family. Let him recharge his batteries. Let him train on his own and get himself up to speed. Whether that would do him more harm than good, I don't know. But looking at him, I can only see fatigue and tiredness, thinking that he's had a lot of football over the last few years. So, he might want to go and play in the World Club Cup. But I'm thinking, give him a break. You know what I mean? We need Phil Foden back on last season's form. This season's been a write-off. We need him back. We need the old Phil Foden picking the ball up in the pockets, driving into the space, scoring goals, arriving late, creating stuff. That's the Phil Foden we need. And like you say, we're always going to back him. He's one of our own. He's a City boy through and through. People get on me on different podcasts and say, why do you not get onto Foden? Why do you not get onto Foden? And it's like, listen, what Phil Foden has done for this football club is amazing. And we'll always be grateful for it. I'm not going to jump on this young kid's back because he's had a season out of it. Has he had a bad season? For his standards, a very, very bad season. We're not stupid. We watch it with our own eyes. But what's the point in jumping all over his back? There's obviously an issue. The club will deal with it. Phil will deal with it. And Pep will deal with it. There's no point us doing podcasts and slating him. He's one of our own. You know what I mean? We don't do that. So, yeah, there's a couple of players that in the summer I expect to leave. I definitely expect Jack to leave. Bernardo Silva could be on the fence. Kevin's going. I feel like someone in the back's gonna leave. John Stone's injury record. I don't know. It's going to be tough. But what do you guys think? Who do you think is going to stay? Who do you think is going to leave? Who would you get rid of? Who would you keep? You know, is there anyone in the youth team you like the look of who can go on this summer tour? Divine Mukasa, the very, very, very talented kid. We've got Regan Heskey, Emil Heskey's son, the wide player. He looks very talented. Simpson Pusey probably going to join in the pre-season in the World Club Cup, you reckon? Jumba Bar on loan at Lens. Is he going to come back and try and play within the World Club Cup, or is he going to stay out there? I read an Instagram post from Jumba, and it looks like he wants to stay at Lens another season. In my opinion, do it or send him to Girona. You know, he needs to step that level up for me. But it's going to be a very, very interesting summer. But it's not over yet. We've got one more game to go. We've got to seal this top 5, getting this Champions League football. The season can end. We write it off. It was a bad day at the office, bad season at the office for us. Get it in the bin and we move forward. And I'd just like to say, I went to the Georgie Kinkladze event yesterday at Classic Football Shirts in Manchester. It was absolutely fantastic. Georgie was on great form. Thanks to everyone that came down. I put it on my story. Great turnout for Kinkladze. He's an absolute hero, idol in Manchester. And to see all the people come down and see him, get him to sign stuff, sign his wine, you know, sign an old pair of boots that I've got of his, that my mate has got. The ones I did a podcast about his boots, about him wearing Umbro boots, but changing them to Diodora and stitching Diodora sign on them. I took them down and Kinkladze verified it. Yeah, this is what we did. But no, it was great. It was absolutely great. Really enjoyed myself. Just let me have a drink. And we can never forget people like Kinky, you know what I mean? When we were all in school and that, Georgie was our hero when we didn't have much to cheer about. But Georgie Kinkladze got us out of so many arguments because, you know, people just looked at him and went, fair play, your team is shit. But Kinkladze's a fucking player, man. And yeah, we were buzzing with it. So that was a great event, Classic Football Shirts. Other than that, people, you know, please follow our other channel at We Are the South Stand. Daps is over there doing a great job with that channel. You know, we're having a bit of a mix and match. If you want to come on the South Stand channel and talk about Manchester City and you're good in front of the camera, you know, give Daps a message on the South Stand Instagram account. And he's thinking about some new show formats to get people on. So, yeah, get on there. Other than that, please like, subscribe to my channel. I really, really appreciate the support. The last video went down really, really well. I want to keep that going. And, yeah, anyone that's going to Fulham, get your Belgian flags out. I'll see you down there at Craven Cottage at weekend. And let's go and get this Champions League place. Up the Blues. Come on, City.